Hello, everyone. This is John Barton with Turtlesmith, and today we are joined by Missy Mayo. Is it Mayo or Mayo?
It's Mayo.
Thank you. Well, I'm
Yes.
sure you get that question a lot,
Yes, I sure do.
And you are an award-winning photographer based in Oklahoma City with over a decade of experience capturing magazine-worthy images for family and brands alike. Shout out to Dylan over there who wrote this copy. With an editorial eye and a passion for storytelling, she creates timeless, true-to-life visuals that leave a lasting impression. From globe-trotting sessions to commercial shoots, Missy brings joy and artistry to every frame. Her motto, happy looks good on you. I like that.
Thanks.
Well, let's get into it with Missy Mayo.
Yes, thank you. That's a great introduction. I need Dylan around everywhere with me to introduce me everywhere.
Well, we at Turtlesmith think that everyone needs a Dylan, and we hope they'll pay us for that.
Agreed.
But I was reading through your website. Your website is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
I think it's very well thought out. It's very helpful. It's not pushy at all, and answers a lot of questions I think that people might have.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed on your website was you said, that you want to do, or you wanted to have photographs that weren't bribed or forced, or
Yes.
where I know my kids a lot of the times now, especially when they're teenagers, they're like averse to taking a picture with their parents.
Right. Yes. I certainly cannot say that my kids never have that reaction at times either. But I think I'm always trying to go for the real, the natural, especially when I'm photographing kids and families, I'm drawn to the natural reactions and the essence of childhood, I guess, the playfulness and the silliness, and you kind of just never know what kids are going to do, and that seems to just make the best photographs, in my opinion.
Well, I can tell you the ones that I was looking through seem to be that way. They really do. They don't look posed, and forced, and they do evoke a sense of joy.
Thank you. That's
good
to hear.
We have some questions, if you don't mind. We'd like to ask those and kind of walk you through some of these things.
Okay.
So in February of 2014, you decided to turn your hobby into a legitimate business.
Yes.
What was the final click that made you want to do that?
Oh gosh, it's a great question. So at the time, I was I was a mom. And I had finished teaching elementary school. I taught for 6 years and was staying home. I had 2 little ones, and I'm just somebody that I love creative pursuits. I love kind of always having a goal, something to climb for, something to work for. And I just knew that photography was something that could be more than a hobby for me, that it was something that I wanted to pursue, to set those goals, I guess, as far as I want to, be on a magazine. I want to get to travel. I want to, I had all of these, exciting ideas, and I decided I just wanted to go for it. So.
That's awesome. Have you been able to fulfill those goals?
I have. Yes. Yeah. I've traveled all over the world. I've been really fortunate to go to some awesome places, been in some magazines, done some cool stuff. First time I've had a YouTube or any kind of podcast interview. And so that's fun too.
Well, that's actually quite amazing, I think, because a lot of times we tend to forget that photography is an art form.
Yes.
Especially since everyone has a phone and everyone has a pretty decent camera in their phones. Mm-hmm. We just think all the time, a lot of people think, well, I can just do that on my own, and they don't realize that there's so much more to just simply pointing and shooting, and Calvin and I discussed this. He teaches me about f-stops and all the other, and how to, the white balance and everything. And I still don't get it. It's all Greek to me. So anytime I find somebody that knows how to do that and really put it together in an artistic way and knows how to use the tools, I'm just amazed by it.
Yeah. It is, like a recipe that you're putting together, and, you can definitely, make the Kraft mac and cheese, or you can, put it together in a way that's amazing and surprising and, comforting, like brings, good feelings, as well. So.
No, I absolutely agree. So speaking of that, a lot of times we talk here on Turtlesmith about what happens when someone turns their passion into a business. Sometimes people get burnt out because they find it hard to manage the creative side, what got them interested in doing it as a business in the first place, with the managerial and the logistical side of doing a business.
Yes.
So how do you balance that?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I think that that's something that's very easy for the photography industry to fall victim to. Also, it tends to be a kind of a solo entrepreneurial journey, and so you kind of tend to be, on your own and not have coworkers or the support that you might in other businesses. And there's been times when I have felt burnt out. The fall season tends to be very busy for photographers, and there's times I've bit off more than I can chew, probably. But I think at the end of the day, I just love what I do, and I get just as excited as I did 11 years ago when I pick up a camera and I'm with family, I'm with a high school senior, I'm photographing events downtown. And so I think that whenever I've been overwhelmed or just stressed, it's been easier for me to just let go of some of the kind of day-to-day tasks that are helpful but maybe not necessary. Like, I don't have to have Instagram posts every week, or I don't have to work on my website every week or write a blog post or those kinds of things. And so I just have kind of tried to stick to things that I have to get done, the essentials. And then I would say also too is because I do love creative pursuits so much, is anytime that I'm surrounded by other creatives or other, just any type of, an art museum, going to the theater, it just kind of gets, the creative juices flowing again. So.
Do you network with other photographers?
I do. Yes. Yeah. So I had a group. I started my business in Dallas, and we had a great group of photographers. It actually grew to like 1,000, I want to say. And it started when I first started, it was maybe 30, 50 of us, I would say. We'd get together once a week. We'd even host Christmas parties, like our own Christmas party, like a work party together, and kind of the saying of community over competition, of just, you can work together. There's enough business for everyone. And that group really did make a great difference for me, because I met some of my dearest friends through that group. And I still, refer people all the time because of that. And people refer me a lot as well. So when I moved to Oklahoma, I decided that, I wanted to make sure and network with other photographers, and I have. So I've met some good photographer friends here as well.
Well, that's excellent. That's what I was going to ask, is like, in my mind, logistically, what comes to mind is there's only so many days in a month and so on. And so there has to be times when people want your services, but you're already booked. So
yes.
do you refer? Yeah. You said you refer people to your colleagues?
Yeah, I sure do. Yep, and I have a kind of a working list of photographers that I prefer to, if I cannot help somebody, I always try to make sure to find somebody that is available on that date that has similar style to me, or somebody that I can really trust. And right. I always give a referral that they could book somebody that same day. So
I think that's excellent. I've always found that to be one of the strongest moves in business.
Yes.
Is to be able to refer people to what I see as a colleague, but also is a competitor. A family's only got so much to spend on family portraits or something like that. This is a big deal a lot of the times.
Yes.
And so they can be lucrative jobs, I imagine.
I agree, and I think that it's just like anything in life. Kindness tends to just go a long ways, and people remember that you were helpful. Yeah,
absolutely. Yep. I think so. So looking at your website, I mentioned earlier that you seem to educate people on there. You've got some really helpful tips on there. One thing I really enjoyed was you have a spot on there where it says, steal my tips for good family vacation photos.
Yes.
I didn't read it yet because I will need to steal those tips later.
Good.
But what role does client education and expectation setting play in ensuring a successful session?
Yeah, that's a great question because, just like you were saying, a lot of times people are not doing this all the time. They are not, getting family photos. Sometimes it's every year in the fall or in the spring, or, when their kids are little, they're doing it a little bit more frequently.
And I have to imagine that helps put them at ease, and it also translates into a good experience that leads to more recommendations.
Yes. I have been really lucky to have a lot of, I think luck, but I think also, just treating people the way you would want to have the same experience. But I've been lucky to have a lot of recommendations, and just word of mouth has really helped grow my business.
Can you walk us through your client journey, like from your initial inquiry to final photo delivery, and how you've refined that process over time?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So maybe I'll kind of talk about a little bit on the refinement, just kind of starting from the beginning, because 11 years ago, the photography industry was definitely a lot different than it is now. There were not as many photographers, and cell phone pictures were definitely not as near the quality that they are now. So I definitely had to, as phones have progressed and there's more business competition, in a way that's a great thing for clients, because I think it makes people that really care about being in the industry for a long time. It's made me up my game. It's made me want to provide better customer service, a better client experience, making the whole process more refined, and ultimately giving my clients a product that they could never get hopefully with anybody else, but with their phone, or just with, their neighbor that can, pick up a camera. Those are great too. It's great to have that we can have all of that at our fingertips. But it is good to, have an experience from start to finish that you feel is really smooth, just a great overall experience. So I think when I first started, I would deliver digital images, and just digitals. And it was pretty easy. I kind of have always had like a flat rate fee. And over time, I've, as I said, just trying to provide a better experience and provide a really quality product. I realized that I wanted to add in more than just digital photos. So basically, when a client books with me, they will pay a retainer fee, and that kind of just covers the time of our session. And also all the assistance that I can give them in preparing. I give my clients my cell phone number. I say, text me your thoughts on what you want to wear. I'll help you, say yay or nay. Or especially from like the senior girls, they're kind of unsure about, what might look flattering, or should they do maybe a cap and gown, or should they do a future college shirt, that kind of thing. So I really try to kind of help walk them through that process. Also help them find a location that is beautiful and scenic and really kind of fits what they are envisioning for their session. And then, so usually a photo session lasts maybe an hour to an hour and a half. And after the session, I usually deliver images within 2, sometimes 3 weeks, but I aim for 2 weeks. And at that time, I present them a gallery of images, and it has a slideshow. And the slideshow is a really nice way to see all of the images. It's set to music. It's I always tell my clients, like, whatever you do not watch the slideshow while you are like on your phone and the Target checkout line. Like, take your time, get around a big screen, get your family together, right. Get some popcorn, like make it an experience.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Yeah. Because I want the whole process to be just a really fun memory making process too. And I do hear, a lot of times my clients will say like, oh, my daughter or my son, they love you. They can't wait to see Miss Missy again, or, they're excited to take photos. And so I want it to be a memorable experience start to finish. So they have a slideshow, and from there they can make a really informed decision on if they would like all of their images, if they just would, if their budget is more something like 10 images or 20 images. And I provide digital images with all of my packages, and I also provide a print credit. And that's so that people are not just having their phone, their pictures in the digital, lost in the digital space. It's nice to see pictures that are actually printed and enjoyed, and in an album or on your wall, or in some way, living outside of the digital world.
Do you digitally edit the photos at all?
Oh, I do. Yes, I do. I spend a lot of time editing. I don't want to edit so that somebody is not looking like themselves at all, but I definitely want to take out a lot of distractions in photographs. I really work on trying to have kind of a bolder color style, but still look natural. It's been always important to me to have, do you remember there was a phase a few years ago where it was like, black and white photos, and then there would be like selective coloring, like maybe like the red shoes or something. And so that's just kind of an example of a trend, and just like anything like fashion or anything, photography has its trends. And it's not that I'm not, fallen into trends at times too, but I really hope that the photographs that I give for families and for seniors are timeless. And that's actually sometimes harder than just, doing something that's trendy. It's kind of hard to make sure you really nail the color, but make it still look, impactful. So I do spend a lot of time editing, but that's the fun part too.
How about storage? Do you store photos or keep them for a while or forever?
Yes, yeah. So I do have in my contract that I think it's like a year that I store, but I keep every photo that I would give to a client. So I do, I delete after a few months, all the ones that just weren't great. But I keep them all. And, people will, every once in a while, it's usually, like times of like some sort of tragedy or something, or something has happened. And I've had that happen a number of times over the years where, somebody has passed away. They've had a devastating house fire. They have had somebody that, that is ill, and they, are there any other photos? And of course, I mean, I'll do anything I can to get those photos in somebody's hands. So storage is cheap and it's easy, and I don't mind doing that. So
well, that's good that you do that, and especially for such sad situations like that.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to have tragedy in their life, but when it does happen, it's good to know that there's some comfort or some information that can be retained.
Yes, yeah. And it's interesting. My parents actually had a very devastating fire. Everybody was fine, but the house was just in shambles. And the fire started as an electrical fire, and it wasn't as bad. And my mom is not somebody that I would say is like an adrenaline seeking person or anything. She's not a daredevil type of person, but she actually went running back into a burning house to get her photos because, of course, they're all, on negatives and film story, And so she has paper copies of her photos, and she got them all out. And the firemen, my parents' house is kind of a historic old home, so they were trying to not do as much water damage. The fire reignited, and then the damage got a lot worse. But she did go back and save her photos.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, for some people, that's the most precious thing is those memories.
Yeah, I saw that in time and time again, and when California had all of the wildfires, and people talked about the things that they lost, and it was mementos and photos that they felt like were the hardest losses. So thankfully, though, with in the digital age, you can back up your photos. In fact, I just wrote a blog article on that how to back them up properly, so that hopefully, if something like a fire or a tornado happened, then you would always have at least a backup copy.
All right, I'm gonna have to go read that. I can't remember if I've scanned all my photos in.
Yeah.
But I think that is something, because once in a while I'll get out my old photos, and they really are some of the memories that have faded from my mind, and then it just reignites that time.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that we have in the modern world, of being able to photograph moments in time.
Yes. So. I agree. I treasure all of my, I have albums too, and I think I would go back into a burning house also and grab my photos.
I know sometimes I think that we tend to have not as appreciable a relationship with the photos we take because they're so easy to take on cameras now. But I know that sometimes when I'm looking for something that I knew I took a picture of, I'll get lost in memories. I'll come across photos we took on vacation or something like that, and I'll sit there for 30 minutes or more just looking at those photos and just kind of reliving that in my mind and completely distracted from whatever the original thing I was looking for was.
I do the same thing. In fact, I have a soon-to-be sixth grader and ninth grader, so going into middle school and high school, which why I thought that was a good, the just having these huge milestones seems extra hard as a mom at times. And I was looking for photos for like a fifth grade slideshow for a daughter. And my husband, I'm sending him texts like 10 times a day of look at this baby photo and look at this toddler photo. And do you remember when? And they, it never gets old. I never get tired of looking at them. So
yeah, I think that's something, and a lot of us, for all the ability to take photos, we kind of neglect that sometimes.
Right.
And we especially neglect to get things done formally.
Yes. Yeah.
So how did you go from being a local photographer to getting jobs around the world?
Right. Yeah. A lot of that has been just having some really wonderful clients, some clients that really just trusted me to photograph their family year after year. And so I've been to Bali, which that was a really amazing trip. I photographed a family there, that same family in Banff in New York City. I've gone to 30A multiple times, and quite a few families. I'll tend to kind of photograph a number of families because 30A is such a popular beach destination. So I'll go there, and then I've traveled some with teaching at conferences and things. And I'll be photographing some more travels this summer, so that'll be a good time too. But really, I've just, told my clients I love to travel, and I do talk a lot about having a love for travel. And in fact, on Instagram, I'll do travel tip Tuesdays, and I share travel tips and things. So that's kind of been a part of my, I guess a small part of my brand is having a travel element that I just really enjoy traveling. And that if a family wanted to hire me to photograph them, that the financially it would I'd make it work. And so anyhow, I've gotten to go to some amazing places, and I really feel like it's just been a lot of having loyal clients that believed in me and said, well, we're going to go to so-and-so and so-and-so. Would you go there? And I say, yes, absolutely. And I start sharing on social media, on my email lists, and kind of try to get the word out. And that's worked. So would you say that the majority of that has come from like local clients? Yes. Yep. Actually, I'm trying to think if there's another situation. Right. Yeah. I feel like a lot of local, clients that have just, known that I love to travel because I do talk a lot about it on social media, on email, and they've either approached me or I have said, like, for instance, I'll be in Spain this summer for 5 weeks, which is pretty exciting. And I am kind of sharing that everywhere. And some of my clients will be there as well. And so I'll be doing a little bit of photography work there.
So logistically, you're asking them to kind of, if there's going to be more of your clients in the same location, then you can hook up there. That's a pretty smart way of doing it.
Yeah. And so that's worked out really well. Let's see, in a couple of weeks, I'll be in South Texas, a family that has a ranch. They used to live in Dallas and were clients of mine years ago. Said, would you come down to our ranch in Texas? And absolutely, I would love to. So,
well, that's great. That's a lot of trust, that they put in a photographer to come and because you don't know how things are going to turn out. So once they know that, then yeah.
Yeah, and and your vacation is kind of sacred. Right. It's important. You want to protect your hard-earned vacation time. You want to make sure that if you're spending it with somebody else, that you like them, and that that they're gonna mesh well with your family. So it does require a lot of trust. I just have been lucky with some really awesome clients that have said, "Let's do it."
One of the most interesting interviews that I ever encountered was the White House photographer for Obama.
Yes.
And he spoke about, just being able to see him in all the different aspects, and the stressful moments and the joyful moments, and just really capturing a sense of how he was as a person through all through that access.
Yes.
And that, I think is an example of that level of trust that your clients are giving to you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely been a part of some difficult times for some of my clients and different experiences. And I'll never forget that, and I'll never forget just being able to, hopefully provide some comfort to them, and something that will make them feel a little bit of relief, I guess, as time goes on. So
you've already talked a lot about on the business side, kind of the things you've done, and they're all just very intelligent. As you said, you do for others as you would want done for you. Now I will say that, there's a lot of times I look out there and I rarely see a website as well done as yours, with as thoughtful, the way it's laid out and everything. So would you advise someone following in your path to pursue kind of a similar philosophy?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. My website has taken a journey over the years. As I think I said, I know I wanted to stay in this industry for a long time, as long as I can, and of course that means having relying on a network of people that you work with, that hopefully want to keep working with you and want to suggest you to other people, and I don't take that lightly. I have tried to up level, every year. I want to be even better than I was the last time that I worked with a family or a client. And so, yes, I've worked on my website quite a bit. I spent a lot of time trying to get it refined and make it a valuable resource and easy to navigate, and tell people as much, information as as I can over the internet. It's always a little easier over the phone. But I would definitely suggest to anybody that was wanting to go into photography to think about, leading with a customer service mindset and trying to make the experience it's not just like a 1-hour experience. It's from the moment they find you on social media or the moment they see your website till 10 years down the line and they've moved their family photo off the wall and it got scratched and they call me and say, Missy, our photo is, it got scratched. Can you help? Yes, I can. So I think leading with having a great customer service and knowing that you're dependable and accountable and, will do what it takes for your client is always a good move to have.
Now, if I'm gathering this right, you pretty much do all the administration, all of the work yourself, right?
Yeah.
If someone wanted to lead with a customer service approach, but let's say they themselves were not so diligent about it, mm-hmm. Is it a normal practice for photographers to have assistants that handle some of that stuff?
Yeah. There's there are quite a few, and I think as photographers have kind of like what I said, trying to they want to stay in the game, they want to still have a profitable business. They have really focused on the business side of photography, and I have quite a few friends that use assistants to help them, especially with a lot of the administrative tasks of things like just email, social media, that kind of thing, keeping up with that. I haven't felt a strong pull to do that. I feel pretty I'm pretty organized in how I do things and run things, and I feel like I've been able to handle it on my own well enough most of the time. So.
That's pretty admirable because I'm the exact opposite. I'm scatterbrained and disorganized, and I know I let people down a lot. If they have to rely solely on me.
Yeah. There's also and I'm sure it sounds like with in your business too, but there's something about your business being your name that has definitely helped me stay accountable on some things too. So
yeah, that makes sense. Having said that, what role has personal branding played in the success of your business, and how do you keep it authentic?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like I did not really lean into a personal brand, I guess, until the last year, even, I would say. I just kind of shared, on social media what, glimpses into my life, and I didn't really kind of focus on trying to make anything into a brand, I guess. And then I just have realized that can be beneficial. It can be really great for, a client to not just, I always felt like my photos, people could say oh, that's a Missy Mayo photo. That looks like something you would take. But I didn't necessarily feel like I had that for me as a person. But I realized over, especially the past year, that is, it is valuable to make sure that everything from my Instagram stories, what my Instagram feed looks like, to my emails, to my fonts, my colors, all of that is really cohesive. And I feel like in the last year, I kind of got that nailed down, and wasn't quite as haphazard about it. And so now I do think that it helps make my business stand out a bit more, and makes me probably appear more professional, more cohesive.
Do you feel sometimes, do you get fans that will take those tidbits that you share about your life and kind of feel like they know you and act more friendly or be more like be more familiar with you
Yes.
than do you welcome that, or do you find sometimes it to be a little bit intrusive?
Oh no, I mean, I don't, I kind of keep the same motto of the happy looks good on you motto. It's pretty well applied to my whole brand and everything I share. So I just share about good stuff going on, happy things that are going on with my kids for the most part. I guess I got a little sentimental about, my kiddos going into 5th and 8th grade. But, maybe some relatable stuff, I guess. But I feel like everything that I discuss or share, I'm really careful to make sure that it would not embarrass my kids, that it wouldn't embarrass my husband, it wouldn't embarrass, me later on in life. I kind of feel like the things that I talk about and share would be the same things if, I was sitting down with a friend and having a cup of coffee and talking about, I love local life in Oklahoma City, so I talk a lot about that. I love the art scene, so I talk about events at the art museum. Sometimes like a good mom tip here and there. So I always feel like whenever somebody can connect with me on something that is an interest that we share, it's fun. It's like meeting a new friend. So I welcome it. Yeah.
So would you say that you do that as just like you might be doing that even if you didn't have a photography business?
Yeah, probably so. Yeah. I enjoy just kind of connecting with people. I'm not somebody that loves social media by any means. I recognize that it's a awesome free way to market my business, and it's a wonderful way to connect with people. But I don't love just being on a screen and trying to appease the algorithm or whatnot. But I do love just talking about, day-to-day life, fun events in Oklahoma City, all of that. It's things that I would talk about with anyone.
So this brings us to our last question today. How do you give back or stay involved in the local photography or creative community?
Okay, well, I kind of touched on that earlier in that I serve on the Moderns board for the art museum. So that definitely is a really fun way to stay connected with Oklahoma City. I have met a lot of wonderful people through the art museum, and that's been a lot of fun. Every once in a while, I will get to kind of donate my services for some groups that, might need professional photography and maybe can't afford it because, they're a nonprofit and they have very tiny budgets. And so it feels good to be able to do something like that and know that it benefits a whole organization. So those are probably some of the main ways that I've tried to give back. I've done some senior sessions over the years for seniors that couldn't afford senior photos, and every once in a while I like to just find a family or two photograph them. And that's always been something that just feels rewarding.
I think this is going to bring us to the end. Okay. Is there anything that you'd like to add? Make sure that we mention MissyMayoPhotography.com, everybody.
Yes.
And if you want to tell everybody about your socials and your Instagram and so on, please feel free.
So I'm on Instagram at Missy Mayo Photo. And, you can find me over on Instagram, and that kind of connects onto my Facebook of Missy Mayo Photography. And then on my website, I have a place where people can keep up with emails. I email like once a month, sometimes twice a month, but try to really fill it with email with information, I guess, that people are excited to read.
And I want to thank you so much for coming in and contacting us. And we are just so excited to profile great businesses and great people. Yes. So I'm glad that you took a chance on us and stopped in for an interview.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. You've asked some really great questions, and I appreciate that you really took the time to read up about me and my business, a little bit about my journey. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, and I want to make sure that everybody out there knows that it's Dylan and Calvin that are responsible for all the research.
Well, thank you guys as well.
They just bring me in because I signed the check. But no, this is our journey, is to try to help small businesses.
Yes.
And in order to do that, we feel that it's very important to get as many experiences from other small businesses as we can. Yes. So, I'll just say it one last time. We are really, really grateful that you took the time to do this. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.